Welcome back to the shop. Two things going on here. One, I'm shooting with some new lights to see if that makes a difference in quality of the video. I'll publish it one way or the other. Two, sharpening tools. So sharpening tools. Ask 20 woodworkers about sharpening tools and how they do it and all that. You'll get 23 different answers. I'm being facetious, of course. I went through basically all of them. I went through Japanese Waterstone, Scary Sharp, Work Sharp, a lot of the other ones I tried, until I bought the Tormek. Now this is my Tormek T3, which is no longer available, and we've had it for a long time, and we love it. But I wanted to make an improvement to it, and I found the improvement. First of all, this is the original Tormek wheel. It came with it. This is the SG200. Now, this is a stone, and as a stone, it wears when you're sharpening. And what you have to do is you need to dress the wheel occasionally. So after many years of use, this wheel, turn it towards the camera a little bit, this wheel is 1/2 inch in radius, 2 inches in 1 inch in diameter, smaller than it was when we originally got it. So it's no longer an 8-inch wheel. Now, yes, the tools get, flat tools like this get a little bit of a hollow grind. Doesn't matter, works great. So let's start out with how we use this to sharpen tools. Oh, by the way, the Tormek used a water bucket. This new wheel is, more on that later, does not use water. And if you have a Tormek and you still use a water wheel, I recommend putting 2 or more rare earth magnets here at the back of the bucket, so that metal shavings get all stuck in there and they don't make their way back onto the wheel. So let's talk about turning wood turning tool, or sharpening wood turning tools first. And we have a variety of jigs for that. I've got 2 of them out. This is the jig for spindle gouges and for bowl gouges. You notice it just rotates freely on this shaft. I think you see where this is going. So through their manual, their nice thick manual, you go and find the settings you need for whatever bowl gouge you're going to or spindle gouge you're going to sharpen. This is a spindle gouge. So the first step is, let me bring the camera down and show you what the first step is. Setting it up for spindle and bowl gouges is simple, kind of. You get a jig for setting up the distance to have the tool rest from the wheel for doing a specific gouge. In this case, it's this bowl gouge. I set the depth back here of how deep you want it per the instructions, for the angle you want, and then you set this onto the wheel. Now you want those 2 metal discs to touch the wheel, so you back the wheel off until they come in contact there. They're both in contact with the wheel now. Tighten it down. That's your depth setting. Now all you need to do is spin the spindle gouge. What I mean by spinning the spindle gouge is you take this moving part, which has a shaft hole in it, with 2 nylon or nylotron bushings so it won't wear out, slide it onto the tool rest, and now we turn the tool on. Not going to do it right now, I'm going to do a chisel in a minute. Take the tool rest, bring it up to the wheel, and all you do is stand here and rotate the tool back and forth. And this can move on the shaft while you're doing this if you want to stay in the center of the wheel. So that's that. Now, another jig I have is this one, which is for a perpendicular grind. In this case, this is a roughing gouge. And I would set it up the same way. I'll bring this in just as a goof. There you go. This runs flat up against the tool guide, tool rest, like so. Bring it up to the wheel, and now you're going to rotate it like so, keeping in contact with the tool guide, tool rest, and then keeps it perpendicular to the wheel, so you wind up with, your roughing gouge 45-degree straight cut across. Sharpening. Now chisels and plane irons. There's another jig for that. This is the jig for chisels and plane irons. It clamps here. The plane iron or chisel rests up against this shoulder here. And of course you tighten it down with these knobs right here. And it slides onto the tool rest. And you go back and forth, straight back and forth. Now for doing chisels, you rotate the tool around. And while I've got it turned around, let me show you, we have a leather stropping wheel on this side. Now it has compound on it, you just have to moisten it once in a while to get the compound live again, and at some point you have to put more compound on it. But the tool rest now comes up to here, like that. And this tool goes on here, like this, and your chisel goes here and you go back and forth. Now let me show you how we set that up. I've rotated it around so you can see it a little better, and this is the jig for setting up the system for a chisel. So you've got your wheel diameter here. In this case it's permanently 8 inches because this is not going to wear down. And the bevel you want, in this case 25 degrees, is set here. Now when you want to set your chisel up, what they're asking you to do is put the chisel in up against the shoulder, and it tells you what direction to put it in. Let me get up here so you can see that. Tighten it down, make sure it's still butted against the shoulder. Now that's not going to move, and it's staying in there forever. So then you take your tool, your tool rest, address it to the wheel. Now, I don't know, you can't see it on camera very easily, but there is a gap between the heel and the wheel, which would not give you a nice straight grind, and it also obviously would not duplicate the grind you had in there originally. So what you do now is you take the wheel tool and you place it up here, bring this, I don't know, can you see that gap right there? So what you want to do now in this case is you want to raise or lower, in this case lower, come on, down, 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 go down, there, that's what I want to do. Lower it like so, because it's easier to bring it up, and then you crank it up until that gap is filled. It's still fighting me. There we go, almost there. Got to go down. There. Now I can come up to exact. So there's no light. I can see no light between this angle here and the tool itself. So we are set for the right angle, 25 degrees, for this chisel. And then you tighten it down. And this is the adjustment wheel right here. So now we flip it around like so, and we get started. But before we start sharpening that chisel, let's talk about the new wheel. This is a cubic boron nitride wheel, a CBN. I bought it from Wood Turning Wonders. There'll be a link in the description. They have a whole line of sharpening systems for lathe work, chisel work, whatever. They sell the grinders, they sell everything. The particles are embedded into a 6061 T6 aluminum wheel. I have no idea what the process is. It has particles embedded on the sides and on of course, the face. So I can do flat sharpening on the side here as well as the regular tool sharpening here. It's almost exactly the same diameter as my original wheel. It's maybe a millimeter or so short, narrower. Doesn't really matter. It does not use water, as stated before. I'm really happy with it. This will last forever and will remain 8 inches forever. So that's one of the reasons I made the jump into CBN Wheels. I'll leave a link in the description not only to Wood Turning Wonders, but 2 videos by Stumpy Nubs. He did 2 videos on CBN Wheels, and one of them he takes a pretty deep dive into them. And why, one of them says, don't buy a CBN until you see this video. There's clickbait for you. But we all do it. We all do it. So anyway, now that you got an idea of where I got the wheel and what it is, let's go on and sharpen that chisel. So now the angle is set correctly to the wheel to get the right bevel on the edge of the chisel. Next thing to do is turn it on, bring the chisel down and just move it back and forth. Don't put a lot of pressure on it. It's not going to get hot, but don't put a lot of pressure on it. Let the wheel do all the work. You know how the old expression, let the tool do the work? So turn it this way so you can see it a little better. And just back and forth. Slow, steady progress. And the beauty of this system is I can just take the jig off here and check my work. And we're getting there fairly quickly. Back onto the tool rest and back onto the wheel and then back and forth. That is very sharp. I hope it shows up in the camera, but that's very sharp. Very, very sharp. So, the next trick is to strop it. Take it out of the jig. Double check. Yep. So what I want to do now is take a little bit of water and wet the stropping wheel. This is getting close to where I should add some compound to it, but I think it's fine for now. And I'm going to give it a quick lick to see if there's any burr on the back. That's fine, it's perfect. Now I can come up to now I can address the bevel, polish the edge of that bevel. And we're done. That's it. I cut away from this a little bit with the camera. It took about 2.5 to 3 minutes to get the initial grind in, but that is really sharp. I mean, yeah, it's shaving hair off my hand. So that's how sharp it is. So that's how I sharpen the tools now. My old T3 with the new CBN wheel. One thing I have retained from the Scary Sharp system is I have the indexing plate over there. It's a granite indexing plate, and I use that as some 1200 or 1500 paper just to put the micro bevel on the end of the chisel or plane iron. The micro bevel, according to the experts, gives you a little extra metal behind the cutting edge so it doesn't wear out as quickly. Maybe. Maybe it works. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I do it anyway. Links in the description, like I said, to Wood Turning Wonders, where I bought the wheel, Stumpy Nubs 2 videos on CBN Wheels, and I'll throw some research in to CBN Wheels and CBN and in Wheels in the description to find some good stuff. So until then, oh wait, a little word of advice. Keep the bloody, soft, meaty parts away from the sharp, metal, pointy bits. I have stories. Anyway, until next time, make great things out of wood.